What's up everyone, welcome back to the channel. And on today's video I've got a good one for you, because this is a shoe that for a while, for at least the last couple of years that I've been running in it, I have enjoyed it every year. Which may be surprising to you, because as you can tell by looking at it, this is a daily trainer. But there's a couple reasons for why I like it so much. So this is my review of ASICS Gel-Cumulus 27. Let's get into it. Before we get started, I do just want to say that this video is in collaboration with my friends over at Roadrunner Sports. Now, Roadrunner Sports was good enough to send me this pair of the ASICS Gel-Cumulus 27 for the purpose of review. However, they haven't told me what to say. They don't have any editorial privileges, and all the thoughts and opinions are my own. But that said, you're going to be able to pick up a pair of the ASICS Gel-Cumulus 27 for $140. And of course, I'll place a link in the show notes below in case you want to pick up a pair for yourself. And yes, guys, you heard me right, $140. And while there are a lot of shoes that cost $140, it seems like there are just fewer and fewer. And maybe it's just my perception. I mean, it's probably your perception too. We've all been influenced by these super high prices of these running shoes, but $140 always just strikes me as a good deal for a pair of running shoes. So just like last year, the Cumulus 27 in the men's version has 38.5 in the heel, 30.5 in the forefoot, and the women's version is just 1 millimeter less. We have 37.5 in the heel, 29.5 in the forefoot, both for an 8mm drop. ASICS claims that at a US men's size 9, the Cumulus 27 will tip the scale at 9.3 ounces or 267 grams. However, in my size, a US men's size 13, it tips the scale at 11.4 ounces or 324 grams. And just in comparison with last year's, the Gel-Cumulus 26, in my size, the Gel-Cumulus 27 weighs 1 gram more than the Gel-Cumulus 26 in my size last year. So of course, if you are looking at picking up a pair of the Gel-Cumulus 27, you're probably going to be looking at the Gel-Cumulus 26 as well. And I'll get more into my buying recommendations at the end of the video. But if you are looking at picking up a pair of the 27, you may also be considering other competitors like the Saucony Ride 18. Now the Ride 18 has 35/27, also for an 8mm drop. It also costs $140, and in my size tips the scale at 329 grams, so it weighs 5 grams more than my size in the Cumulus 27. Next up, you're probably checking out the New Balance 880 version 15. Now the 880 has 40 in the heel, 34 in the forefoot for a 6mm drop. It is also $140, and in my size tips the scale at 348 grams, so that's 24 grams heavier than the Cumulus 27 in my size. Next up, I think we also have to consider the Hoka Clifton 10. Now, the price of the Hoka Clifton 10 has gone up this year. It is now $150. So the Cumulus 27 is $10 less. Now, for the men's version, the Clifton 10 has 42 in the heel, 34 in the forefoot, also for an 8mm drop. And in my size, tips the scale at 333 grams. So it weighs 9 grams more than the Cumulus 27. And finally, I think you are probably also considering the Mizuno Wave Rider 28. Now the Wave Rider 28 has 37 in the heel, 25 in the forefoot for a 12mm drop. It also costs $140, and in my size tips the scale at 336 grams. So the Wave Rider weighs 12 grams more than my size in the Cumulus 27. So there are a lot of competitors out there in that $140 price range. So let's start at the top and work our way down. And as a daily trainer is wont to do, you can see we have a lot of padding coming around this heel collar. Yeah, nice and padded. Exactly what we would expect. Remember, a daily trainer is built for comfort. This is the shoe that you're going to put the most amount of miles in. You're going to be reaching for this almost every day for those bread and butter miles. So we want it to be comfortable. The heel counter on the Cumulus 27 is very rigid, and this whole heel collar and heel counter setup is almost identical. It is identical to the Cumulus 26. What's not identical is now this year on the 27, ASICS has included this knit heel pull on the back. And of course, this knit heel pull is there for your putting on convenience. And you know what? I often say that with a daily trainer, like, do we even need a heel pull? I think maybe the answer is yes. And here's the reason. This morning, I was putting on my shoes and I realized that I hadn't loosened my laces all the way. So when I came home from last wearing the 27s and I just kind of wrenched them off, I didn't loosen the laces. Then this morning when I came time to put in my foot, the shoe was just a little tight through my midfoot. So it was tough to get it in, but I was able to wedge it in and then just use the heel pull to wrench up on the heel and seat my foot nicely. If I didn't have the heel pull, I would have probably spent another, I don't know, 3 or 4 seconds just loosening the top laces to get my foot in. So you are definitely saving time, and it's a very convenient thing to have. I think this was probably a good addition for ASICS to put on this year. For the upper, ASICS has changed this from last year. They now have a new engineered mesh, and basically it delivers a blend of comfort, breathability, and it gives you an adaptive fit. Now, if that sounds like marketing copy, is because it is. That's what it says on the ASICS website. My report on this upper is that it's just an engineered mesh. Is there anything special about it? I don't know. I don't think so. it is a little different from last year, but I can't say that I noticed a difference in the breathability or the adaptive fittedness of it. Can't say it's better, I can't say it's worse. But it works, and it did give me a good lockdown across my midfoot. I had plenty of room in the toe box. Basically, it gave me what I have come to expect from the Cumulus, which is a very comfortable ride. Now, as far as overlays go, yeah, we've got the branding here on the medial and the lateral side. There's an underlay coming around the toe box, which keeps that upper off your foot. And of course, we've got the reinforcements coming along the eyelet chain, which, you know, is what we would expect. The laces, yeah, the laces are fine. I'm not going to say any more about those. But now we'll talk about the tongue, because the tongue is another area that ASICS has updated this year on the Cumulus 27 over last year's Cumulus 26. Now, this is going to be difficult to see, but on the Cumulus 26, which I have in my right hand, this is going to be impossible for you to see. So you're going to have to just take my word for it. But on the Cumulus 26 on the tongue, ASICS was using a stretchy knit. So you can kind of see if I pull that up like this, it's kind of big and stretchy, and I can stretch it around my foot. Now that I'm doing this on camera, I am kind of remembering last year that I probably complained about it being a bit floppy, but it's big and stretchy and very breathable. It's a nice breathable aerated mesh all the way down. Now, fast forward to 2025 with the release of the Cumulus 27, and ASICS has decided to change the tongue from a stretchy knit to some other material. It's almost like a thin neoprene material here on the top, and there are no drilled holes coming down this toe box. Now, there are holes in the tongue that are just where the upper comes around, but there are some ventilation holes here on the side, but the tongue is one piece of material coming all the way down. Now, on the Cumulus 26, there was basically no padding in the tongue. I mean, you know, it was the piece of stretchy knit material, but there was no padding inserted. And I think this was the problem why ASICS wanted to change it to the tongue that they've got on the 27. Because on the tongue, on the 27, we have a good amount of padding. It's not a overly padded tongue. It's not the typical tongue of a daily trainer, but we have a nice thin amount of padding coming around the sides of the tongue, and then that padding kind of funnels into the center and comes all the way down. So what we've got is increased padding where the laces will be crossing your foot, which is obviously there to eliminate lace bite. So I like it, or at least I like the idea behind it. I did not have any lace bite in the Cumulus 26, but if I did, I think it would have been fixed by the tongue that they've got in the Cumulus 27. So I think for most people, I think the tongue on the 27 is actually going to be an improvement. I am going to say that the breathability that you're losing from this tongue is probably worth the trade-off by having that extra padding. And the tongue is gusseted on the Cumulus 27, and we do have a lace pull here on the front, in case you wanted a little bit of help, like you've got dual pulls, so you're really going to have no trouble getting this shoe on your foot. The Cumulus 27 is also featuring an Ortholite X30 insole, and of course, as you can see, it is removable in case you wanted to switch that out for something custom, but I don't think you will. I mean, this is a neutral trainer. This Ortholite X30 insole is just giving a nice soft step-in feel, and it works. It's a very comfortable shoe. So let's come down to the midsole. And the midsole hasn't changed from last year. ASICS is still using their Flight Foam Blast Plus, which I think is it's a super solid midsole foam. I think it delivers a very nice blend of softness and responsiveness. Oh, I can't forget about the pure gel. This is, of course, the Gel-Cumulus 27. Now, gone are the days when you can actually see the gel in ASICS shoes, but if you could imagine, right here in the heel, underneath your heel, there is a little circle of gel. And that, again, just like the Ortholite insole and everything else with the shoe wrapping around your foot, it's going to contribute to a nice, soft step-in feel. I like it. I don't think it's taken away anything from the shoe, especially because, at least compared with those competitors, the Cumulus 27 was actually the lightest, so I'll take that extra heel cushioning any day. So, full slab of Flight Foam Blast Plus, and then look on my colorway, we can see this kind of yellowy green outsole material here on the bottom. This is ASICS Fluidride outsole. And if I hold it up this way, you're going to notice one thing, or you're going to notice one thing is missing, and that's outsole rubber. Because the Cumulus has a rubberized EVA outsole, and this, or the lack of the rubber, this is the reason that I really enjoy running in the Cumulus. And maybe this is just personal preference, but I love the way a rubberized EVA outsole feels underfoot. I think it just adds something to the whole experience. Of course, if you had a firmer compound here on the bottom, like most shoes do with their outsole rubber, maybe the shoe can feel a little slappy, you know, because we are using a much denser material, which is usually put on there to protect the midsole. But with this rubberized EVA Fluidride outsole, it just strengthens up the EVA foam and makes it a lot softer experience underfoot. Now, not soft as in spongy, but soft as in softer than a shoe with a hard rubber compound on the bottom. It makes for a very smooth ride, especially when you touch down. If you're a heel striker, you touch down on your heel and then roll through the shoe. Of course, you may be wondering about durability, because we know that a hard rubber compound is going to be a lot more durable than a midsole or an EVA compound. Yeah, I am getting a little bit of wear here on my heel. And here's the thing with a rubberized EVA outsole. I think it's going to look like it's wearing down a lot quicker than it actually is. Because if I hold this up, you can see that we probably have like a whole centimeter of this Fluidride outsole. Of course, it gets a little bit thinner up on your forefoot, but most runners are going to be heel striking, and we're going to touch down at our lateral heel edge, and that's where I'm seeing the wear. But because we have so much of it, the Cumulus 27 is going to last, I mean, if not average, I'm going to say above average in terms of volume, in terms of the miles or kilometers that you put in it. I mean, I'd love to hear from you if you have run in something like the Cumulus with a rubberized EVA outsole and you've worn all the way through it. I think it would take a lot to wear through this. Now, as far as the ride goes, yeah, listen, this is a daily trainer. It's not going to be like crazy exciting to put this on and go out for a run, but I will say that it is more exciting than your typical daily trainer, at least for me. During my testing of the Cumulus 27, I have actually been looking forward to putting this shoe on my foot and going out for a run. I just really like how it feels underfoot. It's almost like I get that soft Flight Foam Blast Plus feel, so soft and responsive, and then this Fluidride outsole kind of gives me a soft but I want to say dead feeling when I touch the ground, but death obviously has negative connotations, and I mean nothing but positivity when I say that it gives me kind of like a dull feeling. It's almost like a protective feeling. It's almost like I'm touching down with my heel, rolling through my gait cycle, and that Fluidride outsole just feels smooth and protective. It's almost like I can feel it absorbing the impact. I guess ultimately what I'm saying is that I generally like the way a rubberized EVA outsole feels over a regular midsole and rubber outsole. And then just one final thing that has nothing to do with the shoe itself, but that is the colorway. I think this is probably the worst colorway that I have ever seen, and I mean ever. I review a lot of running shoes, and I would say that I like this colorway the least out of any running shoe colorway that I've ever seen. And I have noticed that ASICS has been sending out this colorway to the reviewers, and it does leave me scratching my head why. It's just a little dull, especially because the Cumulus 27 is available in so many cool colors. But I really think that is irrelevant. I think the Cumulus 27 is a solid shoe. Is it a solid update over the 26? I don't know. In fact, I may go so far as to say that if I had the 27 on one foot and the 26 on another foot, I don't think I'd be able to tell the difference. The ride or the feeling of the ride is absolutely identical. And with the few small changes that ASICS has made, so the heel pull, the tongue, the upper, those are not going to be noticeable once the shoe is on your foot. So if you could find the Cumulus 26 at a good deal, I'd say snap those up. So now I want to hear from you. Have you ever run in a Cumulus? Have you ever run in a shoe with a rubberized EVA outsole? Drop a comment and let me know. But for now, it's Matt B. This has bbeen my review of ASICS Gel-Cumulus 27. Be kind, be happy, run well. See you in a couple of days.